Hungry ghost is a term in Buddhism and Chinese traditional religion representing beings who are driven by intense emotional needs in an animalistic way. The terms literally hungry ghost are the Chinese translation of the term preta in Buddhism. Hungry ghosts play a role in Chinese Buddhism and Taoism, as well as in Chinese folk religion. The term is not to be confused with the generic term for ghost or damnation, i.e. the residual spirit of a deceased ancestor. The understanding is that all people become such a regular ghost when they die one and would then slowly weaken and eventually die a second time. With the rise in popularity of Buddhism, the idea became popular that souls would live in space until reincarnation. In the Taoist tradition, it is believed that hungry ghosts can arise from people whose deaths have been violent or unhappy. Both Buddhism 3 and Taoism 4 share the idea that hungry ghosts can emerge from neglect or desertion of ancestors. According to the Huayan Sutra, evil deeds will cause a soul to be reborn in one of 6 different realms. 5. The highest degree of evil deed will cause a soul to be reborn as a denizen of hell. A lower degree of evil will cause a soul to be reborn as an animal, and the lowest degree will cause a soul to be reborn as a hungry ghost. 6. According to the tradition, evil deeds that led to becoming a hungry ghost are killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. Desire, greed, anger, and ignorance are all factors in causing a soul to be reborn as a hungry ghost because they are motives for people to perform evil deeds. It is likely that the idea of hungry ghosts originated from ancient Indian culture, where they were referred to as preta. However, there are many legends regarding the origin of hungry ghosts. In the Buddhist tradition, there are stories from Chunkai Po Yuan Qing Sutra of 100 selected legends, that is from the early 3rd century. 7. Some examples of these stories are as follows. One story is of a rich man who traveled selling sugar cane juice. One day a monk came to his house looking for some juice to cure an illness. The man had to leave, so he instructed his wife to give the monk the drink in his absence. Instead of doing this, she secretly urinated in the monk's bowl, added sugarcane juice to it, and gave it to the monk. The monk was not deceived. He put out the bowl and left. When the wife died, she was reborn as a hungry ghost. 7. Another such tale is of a man who was giving and kind. One day he was about to leave his house when a monk came by begging. The man instructed his wife to give the monk some food. After the man left his house, his wife was overcome with greed. She took it upon herself to teach the monk a lesson, so she locked the monk in an empty room all day with no food. She was reborn as a hungry ghost for innumerable lifetimes. 7. Most times the legends speak of hungry ghosts who in a previous lifetime were greedy women who refused to give away food. 7. Other stories in the Buddhist tradition come from Kuan Yulin Qing the Sutra, on the ghosts questioning Yulin. One of the stories tells of a man who was a diviner who constantly misled people due to his own avarice, and is now a hungry ghost. 3. There is another story in the legend of Yulin entering the city and seeing 500 hungry ghosts. The story is about 500 men that were sons of elders of the city they lived in. When monks came begging to the city for food, the sons denied them because they thought the monks would keep coming back and eventually take all their food. After the sons died, they were reborn as hungry ghosts. In Chinese Buddhism, the world of the hungry ghosts is one of the 6 domains of the desire realm of Buddhism. 8. There is a belief in the oral tradition of Chinese ancestral worship that the ghosts of the ancestors may be granted permission to return to the world of the living at a certain time of the year, hungry and ready to take what they can from there, if these spirits had not been given sufficient offerings by their living relatives. 9. A festival called the Hungry Ghost Festival, simplified Chinese traditional Chinese Pinean Yunanpan, is held to honor the hungry ancestor ghosts, and food and drink is put out to satisfy their needs. The Hungry Ghost Festival is celebrated during the 7th month of the Chinese calendar. It also falls at the same time as a full moon, the new season, the fall harvest, the peak of monastic asceticism, the rebirth of ancestors, and the assembly of the local community. 10 According to tradition, during this month, the gates of hell are opened up, and the hungry ghosts are free to roam the earth, where they seek food and entertainment. These ghosts are believed to be ancestors of those who have forgotten to pay tribute to them after they died. They have long, thin necks, because they have not been fed by their families. Tradition states that families should offer prayers to their deceased relatives and burn hell money. It is believed that hell money is a valid currency in the underworld and helps ghosts to live comfortably in the afterlife. People also burn other forms of joss paper such as paper houses, cars and televisions to please the ghosts. 11 This festival is one of numerous tantric practices from Chinese esoteric Buddhism preserved in modern Chinese Buddhism after the various Buddhist traditions started to merge in the early modern period. 12. Families also pay tribute to other unknown wandering ghosts so that these homeless souls do not intrude on their lives and bring misfortune. A big feast is held for the ghosts on the 15th day of the 7th month, where people bring samples of food and place them on the offering table to please the ghosts and ward off bad luck. Live shows are also put on, and everyone is invited to attend. The first row of seats is always empty, as this is where the ghosts are supposed to sit to better enjoy the live entertainment. The shows are always put on at night and at high volumes so that the sound attracts and pleases the ghosts. 13 These acts were better known as merrymaking. In Tibetan Buddhism, hungry ghosts Tib, while Utwags, Sanskrit Preta, have their own realm depicted on the Bhavakakra and are represented as teardrop or paisley shaped with bloated stomachs and necks, too thin to pass food, so that attempting to eat is also incredibly painful. Some are described as having mouths the size of a needle's eye and a stomach the size of a mountain. This is a metaphor for people futilely attempting to fulfill their illusory physical desires. In Japanese Buddhism, the hungry ghosts are considered to have two variants, the Gaki and the Jikaininki. Gaki are the spirits of jealous or greedy people who, as punishment for their mortal vices, have been cursed with an insatiable hunger for a particular substance or object. Traditionally, this is something repugnant or humiliating, such as human corpses or fesses, though in more recent legends it may be virtually anything, no matter how bizarre. Jikaininki people-eating ghosts are the spirits of greedy, selfish or impious individuals who are cursed after death to seek out and eat human corpses. They do this at night, scavenging for newly dead bodies and food offerings left for the dead. They sometimes also loot the corpses they eat for valuables. Nevertheless, Jikaininki lament their condition and hate their repugnant cravings for dead human flesh. Citation needed. The Hungry Ghost scroll kept at the Kyoto National Museum depicts the world of the hungry ghosts and the suffering of these creatures, and contains tales of salvation of the ghosts. The whole scroll has been designated as National Treasure of Japan, and it was possibly part of a set of scrolls depicting the 6 realms which was kept at Sanjusanjin-do. According to the history of Buddhism, as elements of Chinese Buddhism entered a dialogue with Indian Buddhism in the Tibetan plateau, this synthesis is evident in the compassion rendered in the form of blessed remains of food offered to the pretas in rites such as Ganachakra. It is believed that the soul contains elements of both yin and yang. The yin is the kui or demon part, and the yang is the shen or spirit part. When death occurs, the kui should return to earth and the shen to the grave or family shrine. If a ghost is neglected, it will become a kui. The shen or ancestral spirit watches over its descendants and can bring good fortune, if properly worshipped. 15. Hungry ghosts are different from the ghosts of Chinese, which all people are believed to become after death. According to the Nyan Usuranai, there are 3 main groups of hungry ghosts, each of which are divided into 3 subgroups. 1. Ghosts of no wealth. Torch or flaming mouths. These ghosts regurgitate fierce flames with mouths of inextinguishable embers. Their bodies are like that of a palm or a tree. This is the karmic result of stinginess. Needle mouths. These ghosts have bellies as vast as mountain valleys. Their mouths are like the hole of a needle. Even if they find food or drink, they cannot consume it. Thus they suffer from hunger and thirst. Putrid mouths. These ghosts give off a great decomposing odor from their mouths. They may be found at privies overflowing with filth and fecal matter. They constantly emit a nauseating, evil fumes. Although they find food, they cannot eat it. This fills them with anger and they run about shrieking. Ghosts of little wealth. Needle hair. These ghosts have bodies made of hair firm like spears. They are unapproachable. Their insides burn, as a deer shot with a poison arrow. They run about suffering from ulcers. Only small quantities of impure food can allay their hunger.